actually, uh,
Oh,
Kay is going to be our she's going to be your contact and point person on a lot of these things, and we're excited to have her with us now. She's been with the MCI off and on over the years, and I think she's going to be a great addition to us. So, anyhow, great to have you
hello.
here today. So excited about that. All right, as I said before, my name is John Duvall. I'm a member of the board of directors for the MCIA, and today our presentation will be by David Pearson, and it will focus on the resources that UCR is starting to offer to the manufacturers of the Inland Empire. And I'm very excited about this because I think this is a great thing for the manufacturers here. We always love these opportunities where we can share with agencies like UCR, where the technology and the ideas are way ahead of some of the curve that the industry is doing sometimes. So I'm excited to hear your presentations in a minute, David. Um, the other thing is that we all have. This is going to go hand in hand with what you're talking about, David. We have great stories about entrepreneurs who start with nothing and they end up becoming a fairly neat little success story. And I got two really quick little stories. I hope you don't mind. I want to talk about some people that I've met up in the high desert where our plant is. One is a company called Ameribraid, and it's two guys that I'm just really excited about for them. Uh, Eric Obe and Kevin, gosh, what was Kevin's last? Kevin Rourke. They got a company called Ameribraid, and they had this idea to make a better belt sander. Well, both these guys were working for an aerospace company up there, and they have some really wonderful skills. One's an engineer, one's a CNC programmer, and between the two of them, they've developed a better mousetrap, basically, a better belt sander, and they built a fantastic little manufacturing plant of all places in Kevin's backyard. So it's really kind of neat. They've got now almost 8,000 square feet of manufacturing space in their backyard. You can do that in Hesperia. You can't do that in Riverside and other places, but in Hesperia you can. Anyhow, 6 years later, in thousands of machines, these guys are just blowing the walls off. They're really a great little story. If you get a chance, visit their website, please. It's www.ameribraid.com, AMERIBRADE, Ameribraid. Anyway, really neat little company. I just wanted to share that because, again, it's about these guys that are actual, really true entrepreneurs that came up with an idea and have done a great story. The second one I wanted to share real quickly, I hope you guys don't mind this, is a company called Telexa. They're up in Apple Valley. And this is a really great story because it's a gentleman that worked as a material science engineer for an aerospace company, retired, and then after sitting at home for a short time, decided, I want to do something and started a little company. It's called Telexa. And what they do is they make flexible ducting for exhaust systems on airplanes or rockets or jets, also insulation systems and boots and all kinds of really cool little parts. Um, anyway, he retired from an aerospace company. 27 years later, Roberto Brand, who owns this company, is 80 years old, and he's still going strong. It's just a really remarkable story. So, again, I'm so impressed. It doesn't have to be that you're a certain age to be an entrepreneur and start up a company. It can happen at any time. And I love those stories. I think they're really fun, and we should share them as much as we can. In any case, www.telexa.com. If you get a chance, check him out too, because he's a fun little company to know about.
Could you
So,
spell that for us?
yeah, Telexca, Telexca, Telexca. Kind of, I don't know what it means, but Roberto's a funny guy. He's a nice man. Uh, now,
Can you spell it one more time? And then I'm going to put it in the chat for everyone.
sure, absolutely. Telexca, Telexa.
Great, thank you.
Hope you guys can hear me okay again. So now I'd like to say a little bit about Dr. David Pearson. First, thank you for joining us and presenting today. Dr. Pearson has joined UCR in 2019 and has opened the region's first wet lab incubator facility on the UCR campus. He now heads up the university's new technology partnership outreach to the Inland Empire manufacturers. The program, called Discover UCR, aims to better connect the university's 30 technical equipment facilities and 700 researching faculty to the Riverside and San Bernardino County manufacturers who need specialized equipment or technologies and collaborations to perhaps create competitive new products. I think this is a great idea, and I'm excited about hearing about it. So with that being said, Dr. Pearson, it's your floor.
Thanks very much. This is my third meeting with the MCIE, and I'm just really pleased to be able to get my feet on the ground with you all and really feel some of the pain about workforce shortages and, just the day-to-day challenges that you all are facing. I did run a small medical device company with 100 employees down in Oceanside, California. So I know a fair bit of the pain, but nonetheless, I'm relatively new to the Riverside, San Bernardino area, just about 3 years now that I've been living in Idlewild and commuting down to UC Riverside. I'd like to share a presentation with you today, and I'm going to say two things before I get started. One is, it's one of my last slides, but I do want you to recognize that I understand that the spectrum of size and complexity of manufacturing companies in the Inland Empire is really diverse. Okay, and I'm going to be talking about some of the services and offerings that we have across that spectrum, but a lot of it is oriented towards technology. Okay, and so I'll try to give some examples for the businesses that you all represent. I cheated a little bit beforehand, and Kay told me that there could be folks here from Tablemation Solutions and Phoenix Fire Helmets and BSI and Devolve as well. So, looked up and done a little bit of homework. Not a lot, but I'll be happy to, to talk further. And I'll give, some examples about how the university might be able to help those companies. So the theme for today is connecting the Inland Empire's manufacturing companies to our technical innovation resources and people. And this is a program which is a work in process. You're in essence guinea pigs, in the sense that we found very early on that the university was really not well connected to companies in the Inland Empire. And so in order to explore it better, and you'll see in my slides that I'll be going through, we decided to focus in on the manufacturing sector to start with, rather than healthcare or ag or other aspects that the university is involved in, because we're interested in creating jobs and helping you all expand your businesses. I'm part of the Office of Technology Partnerships at UC Riverside. Many of you probably know Rosabel Ochoa, who's the head of our department. And since about 5 years ago, when she came to the region from San Diego and Georgia Tech before that, she's built a team of people which have the goal of developing and commercializing ideas, really good ideas that come out of UC Riverside and the community for the benefit of society. And the two key goals that we have are creating Inland Empire jobs and also to be a partner for economic vitality and sustainability. I would say that about half of the efforts that we put in are towards UCR faculty, and the other half are towards the community. So that's why the whole MCIE participation for me is particularly valuable. What I'll be talking about today is a new initiative that we're working on. It's just been a couple of months underway, but we're trying to find a way, the appropriate way to do outreach and partnering with companies in our region. And it got started by an analysis that Rosabel did of where the patents have been issued in the region. And really was quite a detailed study, but it identified several hundred technology-based companies in the Inland Empire that have, over the past 10 years, patented technologies or licensed technologies that they're using. Now, as you might guess, probably about 3/4 of those technologies have migrated to the coastal counties or are being used elsewhere. But nonetheless, it gave us the sense that there's a lot of innovation going on in the Inland Empire. And so what we decided to do was to look at those companies and talk to them also. Imagine that. And so what I did was, and I'll tell you a little bit more detail in a second, but I talked to a sampling of about 35 business leaders, some of them CEOs, some of them company owners, some of them R&D directors if they were big enough. And what they told me in short was that the engine of business growth for them is in new products. It's in cost-effective manufacturing, talent retention, and of course, weathering the COVID epidemic. Their competitiveness, and some of our folks, in fact, probably most everybody, competes on a national basis, and it's based on partnering, speed to market, product innovation, and also to some extent patentable, protectable technologies. And one thing everybody's facing is the rapid pace of change in technology and supply chain issues. Also, what's the impact of data going to be? And it really calls for increased educational and resource sharing and networking mechanisms, things which people take for granted in the coastal counties, and we think really can be developed here. And so what we aim to do is unlock the assets of the university to serve the needs of yourselves much better, and Inland Empire technology-based companies. When I say assets that we can unlock, this is a sort of overview of what we have at UCR that we'd like to connect. We have, as was mentioned at the beginning, we have about 750 research faculty who are doing and offering sponsored research programs. They do contract research. They've got their own specialized equipment that they bought with grants, and many of them are also working as consultants. We have, and I'll show you on the next slide, 20 to 30 technology cores, depending on how you define them, that offer fee for service. One of the things I've found in talking to the CEOs and the like is they just didn't know about that. So they've been going to Irvine or San Diego to buy access to equipment because we hadn't told them that we had it. We have 2 incubators. We have the first life sciences incubator in the Inland Empire, doing laboratory work, chemistry, biological types of experimentation. We have 5 companies that have come in since January. And we have a dry lab incubator called Excite, which has 20 companies that is in it. That's a joint venture with Riverside County and the city of Riverside. For those of you who do work in the area of human, or let's say clinical research, we don't have too much of that in our region, but we can provide support with the regulatory aspects of human studies. We have a superb group that works on chemical waste disposal and environmental safety. And we also have access to libraries and data analytics support. So if you've got an increasingly data-driven business, or you need to have a better competitive assessment, those are things that we can help you out with. On the services side, on the upper right, we have several core programs, and I'm not going to be able to go into this today. In fact, what I'm doing is I'm teasing you with some topics, and I'd love to engage in a one-on-one discussion with each of you to figure out what exactly your needs are, and then we can, partner you up with or expose you to the ideas or the technologies and the resources that we have. We offer mentoring. We have 120 companies that we mentor. We also partner, and we're part of the same network as the Inland Empire SBDC that Mike Stoll and crew run out of San Bernardino. We have a program called Innovar, which puts 40 teams a year through customer discovery, interviewing techniques and the like. About half of those are community companies. And you're probably all familiar with UCR extension programs, which include business-related topics and entrepreneurism. We do offer access to funding, and I'll be very happy to discuss this with those of you who have challenges. We have government grant identification and writing services. For those of you who are potential angel investors who would like to see whether your company is fit for an angel investment, we're holding a first summit for the region in November. It's called the Riverside Angel Summit. And we're going to be offering probably about $150,000 worth of funding to companies on a competitive basis at that event. We have a team of people in my group that do corporate partnering, and we also have the first venture capital fund that's in the region. And under the economic development umbrella, one thing that we've sort of forgotten about is that we haven't exposed the community to the big projects that we're working on at the state and federal level. So for example, OASIS is a new sustainability institute that's being done in partnership with CARB. We just received a $15 million grant from the state to purchase land for this project. Our school, medical school, is only 5 years old now, but it's received close to $60 million worth of investment and is serving as a spark for attracting companies in the life sciences area. And we have a huge investment in the Salton Sea area, not just lithium, but also fresh water and health impacts of desertification. And the final and most important box here is people, and we have 25,000 or so students, and they're hungry for internships. They're in a wide range of specialties. We also have a substantial number of graduate students, and we have 120,000 alumni of UC Riverside, probably a third of whom still live and work in the Inland Empire region. And then, as I mentioned, the faculty and staff. So there's a lot to digest there, but if there's one or two things that spark your interest, note them down so that when we have a follow-up discussion, we can talk about that. And don't worry, all my slides are not so text rich. I did want to share a couple of examples of the technology cores that we have. And some of the companies that I've been discussing our Discover Riverside concept with have already started using these facilities. We have clean rooms for nanofabrication. So if you're working on new chips or materials, you can have clean room facilities that are just as good as you find at Caltech. We have machine shops. We have engineering materials groups that are working in optics and phonons. We have a suite of microscopes that do everything, all types of scanning, electron microscopy, et cetera. If you're into chemistry or you've got something you want to change the surface of, well then come to us for new catalysts you might put on there, material science equipment. And then of course you've probably heard of the CSERT, the Center for Environmental Research Technologies, which is the largest research institute at UCR, which does sustainable freight and logistics, energy capture. We're really big on microgrids, air quality in partnership with CARB. And we're doing a lot in terms of shared mobility for future cities. As you might expect in the university environment, there's a lot of work going on with artificial intelligence, databases, data mining, robots, intelligence systems. I thought it was really interesting looking at the Tablemation solutions, at how many areas of overlap there are with advanced manufacturing in this particular area, particularly in the visualization and intelligence systems area. And for those of you that are into biomedicine, we have several different cores. I've just listed a couple of them here. And of course, we historically are extremely strong in agricultural technologies. We have a brand new plant growth facility on campus that you're all invited to come and see. And we've got, of course, strong field stations. And we're a leader in many different types of crops in terms of coming up with new variations, new strains. So if you've got an agricultural technology or an insect related thing, we'd be very happy to discuss that with you. So what the process has been during the past couple of months, and it's basically a two-person process, myself and a colleague, Joyce, who's been doing a lot of the telephoning legwork, is that we decided to go out and figure out what the situation was on the ground. So I reached out to the Economic Development or Chamber of Commerce people in three different cities, so the Temecula, Corona, and Riverside. We put together target lists of larger size manufacturers, and I'll tell you why. 20 to 100 employees, north of 5 million in revenue. The idea being that these are companies that are dependent upon new product innovation and would be interested in research and accessing new technologies. These initial outreach efforts have led to contacts with yourselves at the MCIE. We've begun discussions with CMTC as well. And with Rivco, we're going to be a major sponsor and participant in the Manufacturing Month in October. And it also allowed me to go and talk to a lot of people at UC Riverside, and that hadn't been done before with regards to Discover UCR. So we found that there's a strong linkage with our economic development activities. We've got a whole bunch of core facilities that we're trying to optimize their utilization and funding. We have a really professional career center that needs to be better hooked up to the needs of the community. They are placing thousands of students, but they could be doing more. We have faculty that I've been speaking to. Most of them think that they're just doing really basic research and don't need to patent or have any relationships, but half of them, more than half of them, are very interested in participating in collaborations with regional companies. And we have also the leadership support from our College of Engineering and the Center for Research and Technology and Environmental Issues. So basically what we've done is begun to awaken a bit of a sleeping bear, if you will, at the university. It says, okay, we've got all these assets, how can we better put them to use? So just a quick history, and by the way, the overall presentation I think is 12 slides, so we're more than halfway through it. My first contacts were with the Murrieta Temecula Chamber, or the Murrieta Chamber, and we prioritized firms, we compared lists, found that we didn't have the same list, so that was useful in itself. We joined in on a survey that they're fielding to manufacturing companies, and my first phone calls were to companies that are located in that region. That confirmed my suspicions that, first of all, none of them had had contact with UCR, and none of them were aware of the research facilities and technology cores that we had, but they wanted to hear more. There are many opportunities for outreach. Then I said, well, is this true around the Inland Empire? So I got to know the folks at Corona's economic development team, and I joined their manufacturers roundtable, and they helped me identify 65 manufacturers of interest for UCR technologies, and they had them nicely categorized into buckets like aerospace and others. And they too were fielding a survey, which we were able to contribute to. And at that time, I also was introduced to the CMTC team and learned about the companies that they're targeting, that they've built really good relationships with. And I'm in discussions with them now about working together so that when they go in to work with people that they've had as clients, they'll be armed or they'll take me with them, and we'll be able to add UCR's capabilities to the offering. And we've done a lot of phone calling and initial discussions with manufacturers as well in the region. And the last part, most recently, was in talking with the Greater Riverside Chambers of Commerce. I asked them to identify their, top priority targets, and out of the 17 that I wrote to initially, 7 immediately said yes. And we've got 2 of those now under confidentiality agreements, and I've had discussions with them. And I'll tell you a little bit more about those. And I do expect that in general, we'll be able to have a meaningful discussion with just about anybody we speak with. So what we found in these initial interviews is that almost everybody are not aware of the facilities and capabilities that I mentioned to them. And probably because it's always been done very superficially, and from our perspective, hey, here's what we're doing, take that. What we really have to do is to get engaged in one-on-one discussions with manufacturers to understand what the challenges are that you're facing over the next couple of years, so that we can say, okay, these are areas that we can probably help you out with. But it requires that sort of detailed discussion of what your pain points, what your needs are. We also uncovered that there is interest in working more locally and using UCR research facilities. Every single company I've talked to needs people to work, either student internships or graduate students, in some cases skilled alumni as well, and we're there to help and connect you to resources at the university for that. We learned that the warm intros that we're getting from the cities, from the economic development people, this is all pretty standard stuff, but it's absolutely essential to getting through to the right person. And I'm able to get through and talk to the owners, the chief technology people, the HR people, and explain to them what the offerings are that we have. And I wanted to give just a couple of short case studies. On a couple of these, in fact, on all of these, we have confidentiality agreements in place. So I'm not going to be able to identify the company that we're talking with. But for example, we're working with a company that's a spin out of Loma Linda University that is working on new polymers and coatings that help with these types of screws that are used in supporting the spine. So they've become a tenant in the incubator that we have. They're doing experimentation. They've hired a student intern to do laboratory work. And they're also working with us to write grant applications, which will probably raise on the order of $2 or $3 million to support their work. Another company we're in discussions with is really interested in removing microplastics from their input streams that they have. And we've got faculty that are engineering enzymes to dissolve really hard to tackle particulates that are left in water, and that limit the some of the operations and purity standards of their business. Another is that we have several companies, particularly down in the Temecula region, that are really into pumps and motors and fluid transportation, and they're very much concerned about when pumps and motors are going to fail, or when lubricating fluids are going to deteriorate, and how do you detect those early on? And also, I think we'll probably have a project with the Surface Warfare Center in Corona regarding some of these activities as well. So these are technologies that, because we understood what the company's needs were, we've been able to make the connections, and now we're in the process of setting up research agreements or equipment access and the like. Plus, we're holding the hands of the people at these companies with our internal team that helps with interns and graduate students. So the whole idea is to customize this as much as we can. We can't obviously do it for everybody, but I would like to make the offer, and I'll repeat it at the end, because you guys have been so generous in welcoming me. I would love to work with the MCIE companies and see how we can help you as a high priority for our activities. This slide is very busy, but I wanted to tell you, and it's obvious, we're not the only show in town. There are a lot of people who can help manufacturers of different sizes. I've shown them at the bottom a smattering of examples. The left side is supposed to represent small or new manufacturers. On the right are more established ones. And starting at the bottom, of course, we've got ecosystem partners with other academic institutions who offer training. We've got workforce development that are really suitable for the mid to large size companies. We've got WRCOG, we've got the major, many of the cities in our region have economic development capabilities, and Chamber of Commerce organizations who want to help. The CMTC wants to help. We've got the Inland Empire SBDC, who has thousands of clients that it's helping, from storefront to larger, more sophisticated operations. And then also the Manufacturing Council of the Inland Empire has its aspirations, which I believe will be an important part of the support, even just the meeting, the convening that you're doing. And I'm not going to go through all the boxes on the above, but those are things that UCR can contribute. And they're supplemental to what the ecosystem partners are providing. They're very complementary when you look at both the size of the manufacturer and when you look at the individual activities that we do. So once again, it's important that we really understand what your needs are, so that we see what we can bring in collaboration with and complementing what our ecosystem partners are doing. Now, you might wonder why there are two boxes that have text written in red. And the reason I did that is I wanted to do a shout out to the MCIE team. Because of a letter of support that you all wrote for the university, and I think Wally was really one of the key cheerleaders on this. I've been told by Jed Schwendeman at the Bournes College that the engineering school has received a $1 million grant to support student entrepreneurism. And part of that is the student senior design teams. It will involve collaboration with other Inland Empire institutions as well. So he asked me to announce this today and to thank you all, really sincerely for your letter of support. We also learned last week, and I was told by Jed, that a member of the Board of Trustees of UC Riverside has committed $5 million to be matched by trustees, to be doubled by other trustees, so $10 million for matching investments for student endowed scholarships. And so the goal is to have a total with matches of about $50 million worth of investment in student scholarships that I think will really help cement the value of the university and really attract top-notch students. So once again, you all are major contributors to the success of the region. And what we want to make sure that we do is build bridges by working with yourselves and others to raise the visibility and impact of UC Riverside as a community partner. We certainly have some selfish interests. We want to improve the utilization of our core facilities, microscopes, nanofabrication, and the like, because that helps us employ people, have state-of-the-art equipment as well. There are many different aspects of engagement possible with university-sponsored research. We do technical consortia. If you're involved in water in any way, we want you to be part of the Our Water Consortium. Philanthropy, licensing of technologies. We have networking opportunities for those of you who want to get out and meet other CEOs or business leaders. Internships we talked about, funding sources and jobs. And we want to contribute our strengths to the ecosystem of partners that are already serving the manufacturing sector. I mean, we're kind of new to it in the level of activity that we plan on putting into it. We're part of the overall menu of services for success. And once again, where I started out, we want to help the competitiveness and the job creation potential of the Inland Empire technology-based companies. So in order for, this is I think my last slide or next to last slide, what I would really like to discuss with you all and ask for your help on, this is a project that we've done the initial research on. It's got very high visibility in the university, but we need to make it even more real by having even more examples of companies that are availing themselves of these discussions and working with the university. So I would like to work with a number of you on your R&D challenges, your product visions that you have, and what the hurdles are that you're facing, technical and business. Some of them, quite honestly, I'm not going to be able to help out with, but we certainly know the resources that are available from the other partner organizations, and together, I think we can find solutions. I'd very much be very happy to have a confidential discussion one-on-one with anybody who's in the MCIE, and particularly on this call. My contact information is there, and the MCIE team has my contact information. So with that, I'm going to kill the slides and come back to you all and say hello again and open it up for some discussion.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you very much, David. I have a couple of questions. The RivCo event, October is your month of manufacturing. Is there any type of events that you have planned?
So we had the first planning meeting maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I guess, and I don't recall to be honest, but I guess that the MCIE was not there. But I would love to get you on board with that.
Okay.
And we have recently had it in April in Innovation Month, which worked very well with Riverside County and actually beyond Riverside County. So it would be natural that you all are at the table for the Manufacturers Month. I imagine there'll probably be 10 or 20, maybe 20 or 30 events during the course of the month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then your water consortium, what does that entail, if you don't mind, in a nutshell? I'm just curious.
So our water is a group of approximately 50 faculty at UC Riverside that do research in all conceivable aspects of water,
Okay.
whether it's purity, desalination, agricultural runoffs, humidity, air quality. So basically, we have also the USDA's Salinity Institute is at UC Riverside. So anybody who's touching on a project that has to do with water, how it flows over surfaces, et cetera,
Would that also?
we have technologies that address that.
would that also include water filtration?
Absolutely.
Okay, because we deal with a client right now that has a wonderful water filtration. I have an NDA with them, so I can't mention their name at this point, but it might be something where we could have some synergy here and see how we might be able to benefit. Their system is second to none, really, as far as water filtration.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, maybe a future conversation would be really applicable here.
Judy,
And
that would be really great. I mean, some of the technologies we have, for example, we have people who make membranes that can be tuned to take out, for example, arsenic
right,
or other types of impurities, depending upon, the locality where they live.
that's
There are
exactly what we're
others,
talking about.
yeah, there are others that can handle large agricultural runoffs to remove bacteria and plant cells that would otherwise infect adjacent terrain. So a broad range. Once again, let's be happy to talk with you under an NDA, and we can understand what the need is and see if we can
Yeah.
match that up.
Well, I think there's more of a synergy because this is a seasoned product that really removes a lot of the carcinogens, toxins, PFOAs,
Mhm.
forever chemicals, and he has backing from a lot of government as well as other entities, if you will. And so again, I think sometimes he doesn't do direct marketing, shall we say. So it may be something again where we could see where these would benefit, because I have this feeling water is going to become very, well, we all have this feeling water is going to become very important. And especially if you're out somewhere where you don't have clean water, it's an important, incredibly important thing. Um, and then the R&D challenges, the last thing that you had there, I would probably want to get to you and talk with you in regard to that as well. I don't want to take up too much more time, but last thing, I did want to promote the tour in August, aside from you, David, that MCIE is having on August 18th. It's a tour of my facility, actually. And so we're getting ready and prepared for that. I really, really, every time I hear from you or any of the colleges, I don't think we're tapping into you guys enough, frankly. Manufacturing has got to get themselves out now again, now that things have opened up a little bit, and start tapping into these resources, because manufacturing in California, as we know, is really difficult. And, to be able to do it successfully really requires a village, shall we say.
Sure thing. Yep.
Yeah, so I'd love to, future get together as well. That'd be great. That's it for me. That's all my questions.
I just wanted to ask, is there a person from Phoenix Fire Helmets here? Did they join the call?
Hi, David. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Stacy.
Hi. Yes, Stacy. I am Angel's executive assistant. He's currently on vacation, so I'm acting as his proxy right now.
Well, the reason I'm asking is there's a really cool coincidence. 2 years ago, right when I first joined UC Riverside, I was involved in a state GoBiz sponsored competition called Cascade that reached out to and attracted 60 defense and military related companies to apply for, I think it was like an $8,000 grant to advance their technology. And Phoenix, I remember very distinctly, was one of the winners of that. So I'm sorry it's taken me 2 years to get back in contact again, but I'm really glad to see that you're all thriving. And I'd like to also, offer to engage in some discussions, because I'm meeting companies in the region that I think have products that would make a lot of sense to be partnered with you. So I look forward to meeting you and Angel.
Oh, yes, for sure. I definitely want to set something up. I did want to add also on the internships, we have had multiple internships with UCR, and everyone has been amazing. We have one currently as a chemical engineer, and I just wanted to say thank you guys for that also.
Okay, that's good feedback. Thank you.
Thank you for giving that information, Stacy. I hadn't heard, that's another internship we've got a lot of synergy here, I think. This is great.
Yes, agreed.
You know what I could also find out from I hope I can find out from our career services group is which manufacturing companies in the Inland Empire do have interns already. That might be an interesting factoid for us to know.
What variety of internships all over the board?
Yeah. Yeah, we do everything from business to creative design to chemical engineers and the like, depending on what the needs of the company are, of course.
Ivan, you're welcome to introduce yourself if you want to say hello. You can turn your camera on or verbally say hi. Ivan is the career services advisor for the UCR extension program.
No, see,
So he put his email in the chat, and that's why I brought it up. So if anyone wants to reach out about the internship or the apprentice program, go ahead and
Great,
get that
great.
email.
Thank you, Kay.
that's great, and it's the first time I'm meeting Ivan, so my voyage of discovery at UCR continues. It's great to meet you, have you be part of our outreach efforts.
Oh, that's awesome.
David,
Yes, sir.
could I describe a little bit of that class, let's call it, that's Jed Schwendeman described? The announcement, if you will, of a grant, receiving a grant at UCR, it is for a class, I guess you could describe it as, where students who are computer science students or computer science and engineering students would work with small businesses and at no charge to those small businesses to develop data analytics. So for example, let's say, I'm going to take John Duvall here as an example, and I don't know his products exactly, but let's say you stuck a postcard in with each box, and it was a questionnaire, a customer satisfaction questionnaire. And it also kind of tells you, they have to send it back. They fill out their name and address, and perhaps you sell your products through distribution. And I don't really know how you sell your products. So, but let's just say you sell it through key distributors, and it ends up all over the place. But in each box there's these postcards to return back. So for example, you might start getting postcards and wondering, well, how do you mine the data that those postcards have? How would you turn that into some monetary value? I mean, you might find out that your product is all going to east of the Mississippi River, for example, and maybe it's in wet climates, and it goes to places that you didn't really know. So this class is going to use students to work with companies. Now that doesn't have to be a manufacturer. It could be a school. It could be any number of places where you've got large amounts of data, for example, and you don't really know how to handle it. It's more data than you typically know how to handle. So that's what these students will be challenged. It's to get them familiar with companies and what your needs might be. And it does bring in some element of entrepreneurship. So that's where UCR, where we'll see how that part functions. But it is to deliver some services to small businesses. And I use the word small businesses. Procter & Gamble probably would not need that service. They would already know how to handle return postcards. But maybe Duvall Rubber would need to know how to handle something like that. I can think of things also in how your quality assurance systems behave. You might be generating loads of data, but you don't quite know how to handle the data. So that's what these students are going to be working. And the professor, Dr. Miriam Saloom, I'm hoping we'll have some way to bring her on board and bring her to one of the meetings to explain that when that gets ready. So these will have benefit to businesses or I mean, I'm looking at, I see W. Smith here. I see San Bernardino Community College District. You know, schools could have some needs that you didn't know how to handle. Your own computer system is maybe too burdensome at the school, for example. So hopefully these students might be able to help you out. And it's to give the students that exposure and to trying to solve other people's problems. So that's what that particular grant was for. And I think that's just a starting point, because I think we've got at least 5 different grant proposals that we're supporting, and several of them have key ingredients that will deliver benefits to businesses. It's just that we have to kind of make, once we get these programs ironed out, then we need to help publicize them. And then we need to publicize the successes in those if we can. So anyhow, that's our commitment. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, I mentioned right at the top that Kay had cheated and provided me with a couple of names of companies that would be on the call, but just want to say that I don't know if is there somebody from Table Nation here on the call?
Anything didn't end up showing up.
Okay, well, anyway, but I mean, that's a company that's doing smart manufacturing, custom automation, robotics, and things like that, that every company in our region should have a look at. And,
Is the name again, David?
I'm sorry?
What was the name of the?
It's called Table Nation Solutions.
Table Nation Solutions.
Yeah, TableMationSolutions, Table Nation Solutions. So that's an example. I personally was not aware of them, but they work in many different industries and they do automation of manufacturing. I mentioned the Phoenix Fire Helmets team. I've got some ideas that I think you might be interested in: new materials, coatings, visors, etc.
Oh, yeah, we would love to hear about it. We're definitely interested.
Yeah.
And then another company was VSI that does Solomatic or Solmatic. Yeah, Solomatic. Martin, hello. Nice to meet you. And I saw that you're into, you might be interested in innovations in solar panels, coatings, energy storage, and delivery. And I would love to talk to you to learn what your needs are.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to express my needs to you as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I had looked up a little bit about Deval, and it was interesting to hear early on about the challenges that you're facing. I can imagine that we've got some new materials, some of them biologically based, that can create new gaskets and seals that might, enable you to have a new product line. So something to explore and see what you're looking for. It's got to fit your needs also.
Yeah, David, as you're talking, my mind was racing, thinking of, I need to talk to him about some stuff. So yes, great opportunities there. I'm excited about it.
So I'm going to just put my phone number, my cell number is in the chat, and you're welcome to give me a call, or I'll put my email there as well. And,
Okay.
and I do look forward to participating in more of these monthly get-togethers, so you can count on me being around, just that you can reach out at any time. So
Thank you very much.
David, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
yeah,
Thank you so much, David.
you're all very welcome. Look forward to hearing from you. Please reach out, okay? I'm not going to pester you with emails afterwards.
Okay.
So did you put your phone number? I didn't see it.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I sent it. I'm sorry. I just sent it to Mickey
Wasn't
by
in the
mistake.
chat.
Sorry
Yeah,
about that. Let
looking
me
for it too.
copy it to the whole crew.
Hey.
There we go.
Good.
Could I bring up that the Manufacturers Council, we've been discussing, several of us on the board, about a return to in-person meetings. And I think that's a time when a person, I think there are some nice face-to-face discussions that take place with in-person meetings. Not saying you can't meet people via Zoom. I think today we accomplished some of that as well. But be aware that we're going to be contacting you and asking for suggestions of for program content, for activities that the Manufacturers Council should be engaged in or engaging in. The issues of Manufacturing Month is important to us. We also would like to enlist speakers, people who might want to describe their businesses and the technical challenges. The people, let's say at UC Riverside's College of Engineering, have said, oh, well, we would like not only plant tours for students to go on, but also invite key speakers here to come and speak to us about their industry and their particular technical challenges, I guess you could say. So those are things we'll be contacting people about certainly over the next 6 months as we recalibrate what the Manufacturers Council does. The pandemic has caused us to have to say, okay, are we starting all over again? What are the elements that we should continue from what we did pre-pandemic, and what should we be doing now as we enter something that looks like a post-pandemic period? And we're thinking by October, we're hoping for our first in-person meeting to coincide with Manufacturing Month or Manufacturing Day, which is in October. So be aware of that, and people like Kay was basically hired to get on the stick, and we told her we're gonna work her like a rented mule, I guess is the expression. That's what my dad used to say, and people used to say to me. So it is to get on the phone or use the emails and such to find out what are the members' needs, what are the sort of a members' needs assessment and a reacquainting with what we've done, so that we can get a good running start on post-pandemic activities. So just be aware of that. Thank you for that time to say that.
Yeah, Kay, thank you for bringing this all together. We really appreciate your, she's been very instrumental in bringing everything together now, has been brought on board recently, and we've worked with her for a little while. So we're really, really happy that Kay is with us. We thank you for putting this all together. Your first solo flight was a delight.
Thank you. Make sure to report that back to Molly.
Good. We'll let her know.
Does anyone else have any questions for David?
Are we going to share the PowerPoint? Can we have a copy of the PowerPoint?
Yes, you certainly can. I'm just going to make a PDF of it, and I'll
Okay.
send that to you, Kay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll send it out. Absolutely.
And I believe this was recorded as well, right, Kay?
Correct. Yes, Vincent has been recording.
Yeah, if you go onto the site, you can capture several of our meetings that we've had.
That's well, I'll put that in the chat, but it's our mfgcouncilie.com, and then it's /events, and it'll actually have links.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I think, and what Wally was saying, that we're kind of not restructuring, but kind of regrouping, if you will, after, this last year.
Yeah.
And, just bringing together the manufacturers as well as the schools, colleges, and government entities that can really, bring us all together so that we're all successful. I've always felt that there should be a little bit more of a connection between all of the three, and yet this is a start. So thank you, everybody involved. Really appreciate it.
David, any last words for us?
No, just, yes, I appreciate your time, and I would really like to work with the few of the team members here and see if we can make a difference. And I'm sure we'll find some things, we'll find other things that I'm not able to help you with, but together with other folks on the call, I think, we all have the same goals. So for me, it's really great to have my feet on the ground outside the ivory towers of the university. And well, it's important. I've done a lot of this sort of stuff down in the San Diego area, but we really need it even more up here. So I'm glad to be working with you all.
Well, thank you, thank you.
John, anything?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks again, David. Appreciate it. So
Very welcome.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you. I think we're finished, right?
Yep.